The bullet tore through my chest like a freight train from hell. And as the world bled out in crimson streaks across the cold garage floor, I locked eyes with Chloe, my wife of 8 years. Her manicured fingers still wrapped around the grip of my own goddamn service pistol. "You always were too trusting, Jack," she whispered, that honeyed southern drawl twisting into something venomous, while our so-called best friend, Marcus, rifled through my safe in the corner, chuckling like we'd just pulled off the heist of the century. I died choking on betrayal, the taste of cheap bourbon and her lipstick lingering on my tongue, wondering how the woman I'd buried my soul in had become the blade that carved it out. But death isn't the end in stories like mine, it's just the intermission. One heartbeat skipped, then slammed back like a glitch in the Matrix, and suddenly I was gasping awake in a body that felt too young, too unscarred. The air thick with the stale smoke of a dive bar on a muggy Atlanta night in 2018. My hands, calloused from construction gigs that hadn't yet broken me, gripped a sticky bar top. And the date on my cracked phone screen hit me like a second bullet, July 14th. 5 years before the garage. 5 years before Chloe's smile turned lethal. I'd been given a do-over, a bloody second chance, and as the jukebox wailed some forgotten country tune about lost love, I knew one thing for certain. This time, I'd bury them before they buried me. That realization burned hotter than the whiskey in my gut, a feral fire igniting every nerve. Chloe, God, Chloe. The name alone made my fists clench. In my first life, she'd been the whirlwind that swept into mine on a stormy evening, all fire-red hair and laughter that could melt steel. We'd met because of a kid, a lost little girl wandering the streets near my rundown apartment in Midtown, her pigtails sodden from the downpour, clutching a soggy teddy bear like it was her last lifeline. I'd scooped her up, walked her 3 blocks through the pelting rain, my flannel shirt clinging like a second skin, and knocked on the door of that faded blue bungalow on Elm Street. The woman who answered?
Chloe.
Fresh-faced.
25.
With eyes like emerald storm clouds and a voice that wrapped around you like kudzu. "Oh my God.
Lily.
Come here. Baby," she'd cried, scooping the girl into her arms, then turning that gaze on me, grateful, electric, inevitable. Dinner turned into dates. Dates into a whirlwind romance. And before I knew it, I was hitched to the girl next door, building a life on foundations of lies I couldn't see.
But now,
reliving it all with the clarity of a ghost, I saw the cracks from the jump. That first night, as Chloe thanked me with a home-cooked gumbo that tasted like sin and salvation, Lily, the little sister she'd claimed, had stared at me with eyes too old for a 6-year-old, whispering under her breath about the bad man coming back. Chloe had shushed her quick.
Too quick.
And laughed it off as kid nightmares. I should have listened. In my original timeline, Lily vanished 2 years into our marriage. Run away, according to the cops. But Chloe's tears had been dry as bone dust. Marcus, my old army buddy, who'd crashed our wedding like a bad habit, had shown up with casseroles and condolences, his hand lingering too long on her shoulder. Turns out, Lily wasn't her sister, she was her daughter, born from some teenage fling Chloe had buried deeper than a Confederate grave. And the bad man? Lily's father. A lowlife dealer Chloe had tangled with back in her wild days in Savannah. He'd come sniffing around for custody money she didn't have. And in a panic-fueled haze, Chloe and Marcus had made him disappear.
Permanently.
A fishing accident in the Chattahoochee, ruled accidental by a coroner who'd been greased with my future trust fund cash. I'd funded their secrets without knowing, pouring every dime from my contracting business into the house. The cars. The facade of the perfect Atlanta suburbs life. Chloe played the doting wife. Marcus the loyal pal. And I was the Mark, the trusting fool who signed the papers that made their empire. Until the night they decided I was a loose end. We'd argued about the missing money, the whispers from neighbors about Lily's disappearance, and Chloe had played her ace, an affair with Marcus, documented in forged emails painting me as the jealous abuser. The divorce would have left me penniless. The bullet insured it.
Clean.
Final. Sweat beaded on my forehead as the bar's neon buzzed overhead, the memory replaying like a glitchy VHS. I slammed back the shot, the burn grounding me. This time, no mistakes. I'd play along, infiltrate their web, and snap it shut around them. But first, I had to survive the meet-cute that started it all. The rain outside was already drumming the windows, right on schedule. I stepped into the storm 2 nights later, the universe's cruel script pulling me toward Elm Street like a magnet. The little girl, Lily, huddled under the awning of a shuttered gas station, her small frame shivering in a threadbare dress, that same ratty teddy clutched tight. 5 years younger, but her eyes held the same haunted glint, like she'd seen the devil and he had her mother's smile. "Hey, kid," I said, crouching low, my voice rough from disuse. "You lost." She nodded, big eyes flicking to the shadows like something was chasing her. "Mama said wait here. But the thunder scares me."
Mama. Chloe.
My stomach twisted, but I forced a grin, the one that had disarmed IEDs in Fallujah. "Well, Thunder's just got bowling. Come on, let's get you home before he strikes a spare." She hesitated, then slipped her sticky hand into mine, trusting in a way that made my chest ache. This kid deserved better than the meat grinder Chloe would feed her to. The walk was a gauntlet of déjà vu, the potholes splashing under my boots, the distant wail of sirens from some ATL gang skirmish, the ozone tang of rain-soaked asphalt. Lily chattered nervously about school and cartoons, but her grip tightened at every passing car, headlights carving ghosts from the downpour. By the time we hit Elm, my flannel was a sodden rag, and the bungalow loomed like a trap baited with nostalgia. I knocked, knuckles raw, heart pounding a war drum. The door swung open, and there she was, Chloe, untouched by the blood she'd spill in another life.
25.
Radiant, her red hair tousled from sleep, wearing an oversized band tee that hit mid-thigh, barefoot on the scuffed hardwood. "Lily."
Oh.
"Sweetheart." She scooped the girl up, burying her face in that wild mane, then straightened, those emerald eyes locking on mine. Gratitude flooded her face. Real or rehearsed, I couldn't tell yet.
You
brought her home. I don't know what I'd do without her."
Thank you. God.
"Thank you." Up close. She smelled like vanilla and regret, the kind that hadn't fermented yet. "No problem," I muttered, shifting on the porch, water pooling at my feet. She was spooked by the storm. Said her mama told her to wait at the gas station. Chloe's smile faltered for a split second, long enough for me to clock it, then bloomed brighter, pulling me into the warmth of the foyer like a siren's call. "Come in."
Please.
"You're soaked. I owe you dinner at least." "I'm Chloe, by the way. And this little escape artist is Lily." I stepped inside, crossing the threshold to hell disguised as home. The living room was a time capsule, faded floral couch, stacks of unpaid bills on the coffee table, a half-empty bottle of cheap Merlot on the sideboard. Lily scampered off to her room, leaving us alone in the humid hush. Chloe busied herself with towels and a kettle, her movements fluid, efficient, the grace of a woman who'd always known how to play the room. So, hero of the night, she teased, draping a towel over my shoulders, her fingers brushing my neck just a beat too long. What's your story? You look like you've seen some rain yourself. I let her lead, playing the part, the rough around the edges vet, fresh off deployment, scraping by on odd jobs. Jack Harlan, 28. No family worth mentioning. It was all true enough, laced with the lies she'd fed me before. As she stirred gumbo in the tiny kitchen, shrimp and sausage simmering like a promise, I watched her, cataloging the tells. The way her laugh tinkled like wind chimes, masking the edge, the flicker in her eyes when Lily's door creaked open down the hall. Secrets simmered here, buried under the floorboards, and I was the ghost come to exhume them. Dinner stretched into midnight confessions, the storm raging outside like applause for our scripted dance. Chloe spun tales of her small-town girl, roots in Savannah, waitressing to make ends meet, raising Lily solo after a deadbeat split. No mention of the dealer daddy. Of course, the man whose body would bob in the river courtesy of Marcus's boat accident. I nodded, sipped the wine she poured too freely, and dropped my own bait. Army life hardens you. Seen buddies get chewed up by worse than rain. Betrayal's the real killer. Her glass paused midair, eyes sharpening like a hawk spotting prey. Betrayal? Sounds personal. Every scar is, I said, holding her gaze, the weight of 5 future years pressing down. By dawn, as the rain tapered to a drizzle, she'd kissed me soft.
Tentative.
Electric. The hook was set. But as I left, Lily's small hand tugged my sleeve in the doorway. Don't let Mama's stories fool you, she whispered, voice a threadbare secret. The bad man's not gone. He's coming. I ruffled her hair, memorizing the fear in her face. I'll keep him away.
Kid.
Promise. Little did she know, the monster she feared was already inside. The first month blurred into a haze of calculated courtship, every date a minefield I navigated with the precision of a bomb tech. Chloe was a masterclass in seduction, picnics in Piedmont Park where she'd feed me strawberries, her laughter mingling with the chatter of joggers and dogwalkers, late-night drives along the Beltline. Windows down, her bare feet on the dash as she belted out Dolly Parton like the world was hers to conquer. Atlanta thrummed around us, a beast of steel and soul, skyscrapers piercing the humid sky, traffic snarling like veins clogged with ambition, the faint undercurrent of jazz from underground spilling into the night. It was the city that built you up and broke you down, mirroring the woman who'd do the same to me. But I was the architect now, laying bricks of deception. I let her in slow, shared war stories sanitized of gore, sketched blueprints for a contracting firm that would one day fund her greed. She lapped it up, her touches lingering, her texts peppered with emojis that masked the hunger underneath. You're different, Jack, she'd murmur over candlelit takeout in her cramped apartment, Lily asleep in the next room. Most guys run from baggage. You carry it like it's yours. If only she knew how heavy the real load was. Nights alone, I'd pore over the mental map of my first life, the bank statements I'd signed blind, funneling cash into investments that lined Marcus's pockets, the forged docs Chloe slipped into my files, painting her as the victim in our inevitable split. Marcus, tall, slick, with that all-American grin and a law degree from Emory he'd used to lawyer his way out of every jam. They'd met at a bar in Buckhead, back when Chloe was slinging drinks and he was climbing the DA's office ladder. Partners in crime before they were lovers, bonded by the blood on their hands. Lily's father had been the catalyst, a petty kingpin named Rico, muscled out of Savannah by rivals, crashing back into Chloe's life demanding his cut of her inheritance from a dead aunt that never existed. They'd drowned him off a dock, waits and whispers, then burned the boat for good measure. Clean, except for the loose thread, Lily, who remembered too much. In this reset, I couldn't save her yet, not without tipping my hand. But I started small, earning her trust. One weekend, I bumped into Marcus at a VFW hall in Decatur, the air thick with cigar smoke and vets nursing grudges. He was younger here,
Cockier.
slapping my back like we were brothers in arms from the sandbox. Harlan, heard you were back. Chloe's been singing your praises, says you're the real deal. His eyes gleamed, already measuring me for the grave. We shot pool, swapped lies about deployments, and I planted seeds, casual gripes about gold diggers in the city, offhand mentions of digging into backgrounds for my business. He laughed it off, but I saw the flicker, the calculation. By the time Chloe introduced us officially at a backyard barbecue, ribs smoking on the grill, the triangle was locked. Marcus eyed me like competition, Chloe like a prize. Lily clung to my leg the whole afternoon, her small voice piping up with questions only a kid with ghosts could ask. Uncle Jack, do you believe in second chances? Every damn day, I replied, ruffling her hair, the words of vow etched in steel. The cracks showed early, if you knew where to look. Chloe's phone buzzed late nights with block numbers, her side hustle shifts at the bar stretching longer than necessary. I tailed her once, from the shadows of a strip mall lot, watching her slip into a dive called the Foxhole, Marcus's haunt, where deals were cut in back booths. No kiss. Not yet. But the lean-in, the shared glance, intimate as a loaded chamber. Back home, she'd collapse into bed, reeking of bourbon and bullshit, and I'd lie awake, plotting the dismantle. My first real move came at the 2-month mark, a decision that gnawed at me like rust on rebar. Lily's school called another episode. The teacher said, the girl screaming about the man in the water during recess. Chloe brushed it off as night terrors, but I saw the panic in her eyes when I offered to pick her up. At the squat brick elementary in East Atlanta, Lily sat in the counselor's office, knees drawn up, drawing jagged lines in crayon that looked too much like waves and a sinking shape. He comes in my dreams, she whispered when I knelt beside her. Mama says he's gone fishing forever, but I hear him splashing. My blood ran cold, but I kept it light. Dreams lie sometimes.
Kiddo.
But if he's real, Uncle Jack's got a big truck. We can run him over. She giggled. The sound a fragile thing. And for a moment, I almost broke character, told her everything, scooped her and ran to the hills. But revenge isn't clean, it's a slow bleed. Instead, I confronted Chloe that night, over cooling spaghetti in her kitchen, the argument engineered to probe. Lily's scared.
Chloe.
Talking about some guy drowning. What's the story? Her fork clattered, face paling under the fluorescent buzz. It's nothing. Old cartoons. That's all. Her bio, dad's a ghost. left when she was a baby. I pressed, gentle but insistent. Kids don't invent that kind of detail. If there's trouble, we handle it together. The lie cracked then. Just a hair. Rico was bad news. Drugs.
Debts.
He threatened us once. Showed up drunk. But he's out of the picture. Cops handled it. Her eyes darted to the window, where fireflies danced like fleeing souls.
Cops.
Handled. I filed it away. The first thread pulled. But the cost? That night, as she melted into me on the couch, our first real intimacy. Bodies tangling in a frenzy of need and narrative, I felt the bile rise. She was poison-wrapped in silk, and I was drinking deep to keep the con alive. Waking alone at dawn, her side cold, I stared at the ceiling cracks spidering like fault lines. This was the controversial edge, seducing the serpent to strike it down. Morally gray? Hell, it was charcoal. But for Lily, for the me they'd erased, I'd wade through the abyss. Marcus inserted himself deeper after that, helping with Lily's issues, therapy sessions he funded through shady connections, no doubt greasing palms to bury inquiries. I played along, joining poker nights at his sleek condo in Midtown, the skyline glittering like fool's gold beyond the floor-to-ceiling windows. He was good. I'll give him that, charming the room, dealing hands with the finesse of a forger. But I caught the tells, the way he'd text under the table. Chloe's name flashing, the off-color jokes about crazy exes that landed too close to Rico's ghost. One humid August evening, after too many IPAs, he cornered me on the balcony, city lights pulsing below like a heartbeat on life support. Chloe's special. Man. Fragile.
Though.
That kid's dad? Left scars. You thinking long-term? Long as she'll have me. I lied. Clinking bottles. My mind racing circuits. It was the opening I'd waited for. He leaned in, breath sour. Good.
Just.
Watch your back. Some debts follow you home. The threat, veiled as advice. I nodded, filing it with the rest. By fall, we were engaged, a shotgun proposal under October oaks in Grant Park, leaves crunching like brittle bones, Chloe's yes a gasp of triumph. The ring was cubic zirconia, a placeholder for the real gold I'd forge later. Lily cheered, tossing handfuls of acorns, but her hug lingered, small arms fierce. Promise you'll stay, Uncle Jack, even if the water man comes? Cross my heart, I whispered, the words a blade unsheathed. Wedding bells tolled in December. A courthouse affair with poinsettias and Marcus as best man, his toast slurring about second chances and sinking ships. Chloe glowed in white lace. Vows exchanged under fluorescent hum. The Lyre Bond. Honeymoon in Tybee Island. Beaches bleached bone white. Waves whispering warnings I ignored for the play. Back in Atlanta, the real work began, building Harlan construction from dirt. Bids on subdivisions sprouting like weeds in the suburbs. But under the surface, I dug. Hired a PI off Craigslist, ex-cop named Ruiz. Hungry for cash and quiet. Fed him breadcrumbs. Rico's name. Savannah ties. A timeline of Lily's nightmares. Reports trickled in. Missing persons file on the father. Ruled runaway. Boat rental records under Marcus's alias. A witness recanting after a donation to her church. Puzzle pieces. Jagged and incriminating. I stashed them in a safety deposit box downtown. Key around my neck like a noose. Chloe noticed the distance first, her questions sharpening over holiday dinners, turkey drying under the oven's glare, Lily carving lopsided stars into her mashed potatoes. You're pulling away.
Jack.
What's eating you? Work, I'd say, kissing her temple, the taste of deceit bitter. Big contracts. For us. She bought it.
For now.
Her focus shifting to the nursery she planned for a baby that would never come. Miscarriages, she'd claim later, to soften the divorce. But I was steps ahead, doctoring my will, leaving everything to a trust for Lily, ironclad against tampering. The tension coiled tighter through spring. Marcus's visits more frequent, his legal advice laced with probes. One night, post-dinner scotch in our new kitchen, granite counters gleaming like false promises, he dropped the mask of fraction. Heard from Ruiz. Guys, sniffing old dirt. You know anything about that? Ice water in my veins. But I played dumb. Ruiz? My plumber. Clogged lines. He chuckled, but his eyes were knives. Plumbers bury shit deep. Careful it doesn't back up. The gauntlet thrown. I escalated. Anonymous tips to the DA's cold cases unit. Whispers of Rico's accident. Chloe grew jittery, snapping at Lily over spilled juice. Her Merlot intake doubling. Arguments flared, me accusing shadows. Her deflecting with tears. You're paranoid.
Jack.
Like your war bullshit. Then prove me wrong, I'd counter. Voice low thunder. Tell me about Rico. All of it. Silence. Thick as fog off the river.
Then.
One sweltering June night in 2019, year one of the reset, she broke. We'd fought over a mysterious deposit in our joint account, traceable to Marcus's firm. Lily was at a sleepover, the house echoing. Chloe paced the living room, wine glass trembling.
Fine.
Rico was trash, beat me, threatened Lily. Marcus helped. We made him go away. For her. For us. Made him go away, I echoed, feigning shock. Heart hammering. You killed him. Tears. Real ones this time. It was self-defense. He came at us with a knife. The river. It was mercy. Lies. Polished to a sheen. But the confession hung there. A noose she'd looped herself. I pulled her close, murmuring sympathies. The embrace a cage closing. We fix this. Together. But inside, the fire roared. Evidence mounted. Ruiz's photos of Marcus at the dock that night. Chloe's prints on the rental manifest. I fed it all to a burner email, timing the leak for maximum chaos. The controversial pivot came weeks later. A choice that stained my soul blacker than the Chattahoochee at midnight. Lily, sweet Lily, started regressing bedwetting. Shadows under her eyes. Chloe blamed stress, dosed her with over-the-counter sleep aids. But I knew the truth. The kid sensed the storm breaking. To protect her, I did the unthinkable, staged a custody play. Filed papers through a proxy lawyer, claiming Chloe's instability based on forged psych evals I'd paid a shady shrink to whip up. It was dirty. A betrayal of the woman I pretended to love. But for Lily, I'd burn the world. Chloe found out over coffee. The papers slapping the table like a gavel. What the fuck? Jack, you're taking her from me? She's not safe, I said, voice steel. With your secrets. Rico's not the only body. Is he? Her face crumpled. Then hardened, the viper uncoiling. You think you're clean? Digging into us like some vigilante? Marcus warned me. The name drop. The alliance laid bare. That night, she vanished, packed a bag, Lily in tow, heading to Marcus's for space. I let them go, tracking the SUV via a planted AirTag. The trap was set. The unraveling hit warp speed that summer. Atlanta's heat wave mirroring the inferno I'd stoked. News alerts pinged my phone like incoming fire. Cold case reopened. Suspected homicide in Savannah drowning. The leak had landed. Ripples turning to tsunamis. Marcus's firm issued denials. Chloe went radio silent. But I knew the panic had lived it in the garage. Her finger on the trigger. This time, I was the one holding the gun. Metaphorical, but no less lethal. I played the concerned husband, filing a missing persons on Chloe voluntarily, painting her as erratic. A danger to Lily. Cops knocked on Marcus's door by noon. Badges flashing in the midday glare. Neighbors gawking from manicured lawns. Ruiz fed me the play-by-play. Chloe lawyered up. But Marcus sweated. His alibis fraying like cheap suit threads. Lily? Shuttled to a foster temp spot, protocol for at-risk, her small face in the social worker's photo haunting my dreams. I'd saved her from the river. But now she was collateral in my war. The guilt was a gut punch. But I swallowed it, focusing on the endgame. Confrontation brewed in a warehouse on the outskirts. One of my job sites, skeletal beams rising like accusations against the bruised sky. Marcus texted coordinates. We talk.
Now.
I arrived early. Glock tucked in my waistband, army habit. Not paranoia, the air heavy with sawdust and diesel. He rolled up in his BMW. Chloe's shotgun. Her red hair a flag of fury. They stepped out. United front cracking at the edges. Jack. You son of a bitch, Marcus snarled. Suit rumpled. Eyes bloodshot. Calling the cops? On us? After everything? Chloe hung back. Arms crossed. But her gaze bored into me. Hurt. Rage. Calculation. Lily's terrified. Because of you. Me? I laughed. Bitter bark echoing off concrete. I'm the one who walked her home that night. Saved her from the storm. You too? You're the flood. Marcus lunged. Fists clenched. But I sidestepped. Years of hand-to-hand kicking in.
Easy. Counselor.
We can do this, civil. Confess. Cut a deal. Rico. The boat, it's all coming out. Chloe stepped forward. Voice a whip. Rico deserved it. He would have taken her, sold her for drug money. We protected our family. Your family, I spat. Lily's not a prop. And I know about the others. The accidents to cover debts. My money, Marcus, laundered through your shell core. He paled. Bluff crumbling. You got no proof. Ruiz says otherwise. DA's got warrants brewing.
Lie.
Half true. But it landed. Chloe's hand flew to her mouth. Realization dawning.
You.
You knew? From the start. Her voice cracked. The mask slipping. That night with Lily, it wasn't chance. You planned this. Bingo. The hook caught. Second chances.
Chloe.
I got one. You don't. Marcus drew then, a snub nose from his ankle holster. The click deafening in the hush. Walk away. Harlan. Or Lily gets an uncle with a tag on his toe. Time fractured. I dove behind a pallet of rebar as the shot cracked, ricocheting like judgment. Chloe screamed, Marcus. No. regret or strategy, and in the chaos, I fired back, grazing his shoulder. He howled, dropping the piece, blood blooming dark on his shirt. Chloe bolted for the car, keys jangling. But I was faster, tackled her to the gravel, her nails raking my cheek like thorns. "Get off me," she thrashed, emerald eyes wild. "You were supposed to be mine." I growled, zip-tying her wrists with spares from my truck. Past tense. Sirens wailed distant. My anonymous 911 paying dividends. Marcus groaned, clutching his wound. The fight bled out. As cuffs snapped on, Chloe twisted to face me, tears carving tracks through dust. "What about Lily? You can't take her." "Watching me," I said, standing tall as blue lights painted the scene strobe. From a distance. Clean break. The arrests hit headlines. Prominent attorney. Fiancé charged in decade-old murder. Rico's case cracked wide. Forensics pulling DNA from the riverbed weights. Witnesses crawling out of the woodwork with greased memories refreshed. Marcus flipped first, plea for lesser counts, spilling on the money trail. Chloe held out longer, lawyered by public defenders, her bail denied for flight risk. Lily, placed with a vetted aunt in Macon, supervised visits pending trials. I testified clean, the grieving almost groom, doling out details like grenades. But the twist gutted me deeper than any bullet. Court docs unearthed the bomb. Lily was Rico's. Paternity test from the initial investigation, suppressed by Marcus, pointed to him. Chloe's deadbeat was a lie, Marcus the father. The protection, a cover for offing a rival claim to his blood. Incestuous rot, the betrayal layered like onion skin. Chloe hadn't just killed for money, she'd erased threats to their twisted dynasty. And me, the patsy who'd fund it all. The revelation aired on 11 Alive. Anchors dissecting the suburban nightmare with grave nods. Public frenzy erupted, forums ablaze with "how'd he not see it?" and "karma's a bitch." Protests outside the courthouse. Feminists decrying the abused woman narrative flipped. Men's rights groups crowing vindication. I became a ghost in my own story, dodging reporters in dive bars. The weight of hero or manipulator, crushing my ribs. Final confrontation came in the visitor's room at Fulton County Jail. Plexiglass between us like the grave we'd dodged. Chloe looked hollowed, hair limp, orange jumpsuit swallowing her frame. The fire dimmed to embers. "You won, Jack," she said through the receiver. Voice flat. "Happy?" "No," I admitted. The truth a rasp. "Lily's thriving, straight A's. Soccer star."
But you?
"You built this cage." Her laugh was shards. "Love's a con."
Harlan.
"I learned young. You just played it better. Or saw through it."
Pause.
The air electric. One question, the gun. In the garage. "Was it always you?" Eyes met. Unblinking. "In your head. Maybe."
But yeah.
I'd have done it. The line went dead. Guards shuffling her away. Marcus took the harder fall, life without parole. The DA painting him puppet master. Chloe, 25 to life. Eligible in 15 if the appeals held. I walked out into autumn chill. Leaves swirling like confetti from a funeral. Atlanta sprawled indifferent. Skyscrapers shrugging at human frailty. Lily's graduation photos arrived monthly, smiles genuine, unscarred. I'd kept my vow. From afar. The Uncle Jack fund covering college. A shadow guardian. But victory soured. Nights. The what-ifs clawed. Had I become them? Twisting justice into vengeance? The controversial calls, the faked evals, the seduction sting, haunted depositions, ethics board sniffing but finding no crime. Legally clean. Morally, a razor's edge. Friends drifted. The story too toxic, dates ghosted at past mentions. Yet, in the quiet of my remodeled bungalow, not Elm Street, but close enough to watch over, I found fragile peace. The lost girl had led me home. Twice over. Chloe's double? Just a mirror. Cracked but reflective. Second chances aren't absolutions, they're reckonings. And in the reckoning, I lived.